Does a film have an expiry date?
I think great movies don't. I, for one, like Shrek 2. I think Shrek 2 is very funny. There's so many cultural references, but they're all very dated references. Is that a movie that in 20 years the next generation is going to find and love? I think they might enjoy it, but it's not going to be the same. You know, there's some jokes in there that might be timeless that everyone will always get, but there's some that people are like, what? I don't get this. Who is it? Who are they talking about? What is this a reference to? And I think that's going to age with time. Like Aladdin. I didn't know half of those references from when the genie was making. Did you know who Roger Dangerfield was when you first saw it? No. You know, it's like that. In that way, in a way, that movie kind of got better with more viewings as I got older because I got to understand the references made. But in a way, it made it a little bit dated, and I think that some movies do have an expiry date.
So, like the Mighty Ducks. Like, I watched that recently, and I even saw the second one.
Those old sports movies are of their time.
Because of the pop culture Disney-esque to them, right? It almost puts a cap on them. Like this was 1993.
Some movies can be made eternal because of their time period and what they do with it. Like Back to the Future.
Right. Back to the Future
is always going to be about 1985 and 1955. And of course 2015, but that's different. That's a different 2015. But so it's always going to be dated in those two time periods, but that kind of makes it unique. That makes it unique and kind of everlasting in that because it's like a time capsule of that era. Some movies I think are better for that because they time capsule their era perfectly, where some I think you just, as you grow older, there's no reason to ever fall back to, and once a movie starts showing its ages and its cliches and stuff that we've gone past in movie culture nowadays. I also think that people have made producers have made money off of the time, like the time that this movie was released. Because I guarantee, if you go back, there's no more video stores these days, but if you had, let's say for example, there was someone that had every collection of movies released from 1991 all the way up to 2000, all the way to 2017 on, VHS, DVDs, Blu-rays, all that, you would see that there's certain ones that if you tried to release that nowadays, it would fall flat. I kind of felt the same when I watched Premium Rush. I know I come back to that, but that was kind of one of those movies that if it had been released at a certain year, it would have fallen into that category and made more money. I just think that there is. I think that there's some movies that I think would have been like a hit in any era. Star Wars probably would have been a hit in any era. Die Hard probably would have been a hit in almost any era, except for maybe silent pictures. He says like anyway, but there are some movies that I think can only have been a hit in their time, and I think that is very true of movies. And some movies are just made at the perfect time and create their own sort of subgenre. Like superhero movies now are bigger than they've ever been.
Compared to TV shows, what do films have that TV shows don't?
Well, I think the bigger thing is they have bigger budgets that they have to put into a shorter amount of time. Like TV shows, they have small, like they if they had like the same budget of a movie, that has to go between like 12 or 20 episodes. Where a movie can take a big budget and just focus it on an hour or 2 hours of a film and just make it the best. So a good movie is more honed and streamlined. A TV show can meander a little bit in here and there, but they also, because they have so many episodes, a lot of it can become repetitive. A character can't just learn a lesson. They have to go through it every other episode.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. Do you feel like most TV shows start off with a beginning, middle, and end, and then simply spread out just to kill time, like to fill the space between?
I think the really great TV shows have everything planned out, or at the very least a rough idea of where they want everything to go, and then they execute that. You get other TV shows that get so big for their britches that they just extend everything to prolong everything as long as possible. I guarantee How I Met Your Mother was not supposed to go, what, 12 seasons?
I believe it was 9. I might be mistaken.
Smallville was only going to be for 6 seasons. That went for, I think, 11 or 12 seasons.
Okay, well,
I think that's the problem with. I think good TV shows know where to begin and they know where to end, and they might go season to season. Sometimes they might have it all planned out. Sometimes they just might make stuff as they go, like Lost. Like, oh, we'll explain it later. Right. And then at the end, there's still no explanation of the polar bear.
Well, I think TV shows are formulaic in a sense, where they have to be lengthened out of season after season to make the most money. That's why, like, for example, like The Walking Dead, I'm not sure which season this was, but it was dragging on. It was set up, payoff, small payoff, and then just set up again and again for the large payoff in the end.
Well,
and
I stopped watching.
I will say this:
go ahead.
They do that purposely just to make that money for that show and pay everyone off.
Well, the problem with The Walking Dead is, as soon as I saw that the director has like 12 seasons of the show in mind with no end in his mind, I stopped watching it. I said, for a TV show, if there's no end in sight, then there's no finality. I don't feel like the show is this show's ever going to have a complete finish for me, and therefore, when does it end? You know,
what would you say the most appropriate season length would be, so that the audience doesn't feel that it's redundant and getting stagnant?
I think 3 or 5.
Why would you say that for a TV show they're allowed to go and spend, like let's do the math here. They make how in one season of a TV show, if it's like, let's say it's a 45-minute episode, do you even know how many movies that is? That's so many movies, like, and we're talking like all these TV shows, like everything from The Sopranos to Lost, and the list goes on to 24. These are all movies in a sense. They've just been narrowed down and expanded. And for me, that's why I always come back to movies first, because of the short length. You don't want to visit with these characters more than you have to. And if you do, it becomes a nightmare.
If you can make the emotional connection with a character in a 2 hours long, and a TV show takes 2 seasons to make, that's just better character writing and character development. However, it's like it's always a thing with movies. Like, movies can go too far too. I think that's the thing when you got with sequels. How many movie sequels do you go? Do we really need Fast and the Furious 9? Do we really need that? Is that something that is really necessary? I think for movie sequels,
I think so. I saw 8.
But movies also can outstay their welcome too. Like, what's a movie sequel do you think did not need to be made? For my mind, The Legend of Zorro did not need to be made.
Let's move on here.
Yeah,
Which do you prefer? A movie that is 3 hours long, that are done well, but make you feel like, wow, this is an epic movie with some serious time to it, or movies that are well done but make you feel like, oh, it's over already?
Longer movies, like when they're done well, they're good, but I find it's harder to go back to rewatch those, because like I love Return of the King, but
it's a long movie.
It's a long movie, and I've only ever seen the extended edition once because I only had 1 year to spare. But but for shorter movies, I guess that can be more impressive, that they got so much in so little time. But it's like I guess if the ratio is like this. If you got a short movie and it's good, then that's good. If it's bad, then oh well, at least it's short. If you got a long movie, that's great. Okay, good, it's great. But if it's a long movie and it's bad, that is maddening. Yeah. I remember when I saw the last Hobbit film, I wanted to yell at the screen because it was just fighting. Just like, are you serious? Are you still going with this? And then they don't even really show the battle ending. They just show, oh, it's over. I'm just like, well, wait a minute. Who won? How did you?
Play. I'll also say, for movies that are so meaningful and mean so much, like Jurassic Park, when we all saw that the first time, we didn't feel the time. You know what I mean? Like it just took us on that ride to the point where we just, when it was over, it was just like, wow, that was an entire event that I just had.
Yeah.
And this is
you were with them.
I know it's sad to say this is the highlight of my summer, but it's not. It's really just the highlight of your day that actually meant the most out of. So let me ask you this: why are movies healthy to watch or unhealthy to watch?
Well, I guess like anything, if it becomes an obsession, that makes it unhealthy. You know, like you got people that like a movie, like, oh, with anything, it just surrounds their whole lives and that's all they ever think about or do. I think movies can be healthy in a way that I think movies are great with building imaginations and building up creativity in one's mind. You know, it's like when you see something creative, you think about things in a new way. You know, if you're only watching, you know, there are some people that will watch a movie and are completely unfazed by it. You know, they go in, they go out, they might have laughed, they might have enjoyed the action, but it's, you know, it leaves no effect on their lives whatsoever. I think for a lot of us who love movies, it can make us more excited about other things. You know, it makes us more excited, like, oh, this inspired me to do this, or this has inspired. Like, I wouldn't be an amateur movie critic if I didn't actually really like movies and really love analyzing them, and you wouldn't be an amateur filmmaker if you didn't love them and enjoy making them.
Yeah, and if I had to choose a season and never watch movies outside of this season, I would say summer, because when all the stars align, so to speak, and you watch a great movie, you come out and the sun is shining, or maybe there's a sunset. It can be different every time, right? But you have that going through your mind and you just feel almost like you've come out of a ride, and I can't even explain it. You just, everything in your day is kind of bright, and you kind of, it creates this inspiring thing in your mind where you just want to go out and write a movie. Like, so I go and write down on my computer a screenplay. It's what I love about movies, that they inspire us to make.
I know for me personally,
I
love, one of my favorite things is to watch movies that I love with people who haven't seen them. That's like, I just love to see people experience what I experience. And you know, you never know if they're actually going to like it or not. There's times where I feel like, huh, that's good. And they're like, nah, I didn't like it. I'm like, but, you know.
So you're trying to share like that.
You want to share that
bond.
experience with other people. Mm-hmm. I remember, like, when we showed your wife Star Wars for the first time, I remember I was almost like watching her more than the movie, because I just wanted to see her reaction to everything. And when her eyes went wide when Luke Skywalker's hand got cut off, I just couldn't help but smile the biggest smile, you know?
And when Palpatine was basically putting Luke to death, like, zapping him and everything, I swear I had the biggest...
She was holding your hand?
She was grabbing my hand, and I was just like, wow. She really thinks he's gonna die.
Yeah, and it's great to see other people's reaction and to go. And that's what I love about movies, is they are an experience. Like, for most experiences in life, you can't relive them. You're watching a movie and you watch it with somebody else, you're sharing the exact same experience you had. Mm-hmm. You know, and because it's the same thing. You know, it might be a bigger screen, might be a smaller screen, it might be different sound quality, but we're sharing the same experience with somebody else, and that's what I love about movies.
Well, thank you, Kenneth. This has been fun.
Yes.
And yeah. Well, thank you for having me on this panel, and we'll see you again next time.
Yeah. Okay. Poop.